Guys, it's been less than 24 hours since our last transfer news update, and a lot has moved and a lot has changed since then. We've got to talk about Mr. Lingard and the reports that to me yesterday when I heard them felt like paper talk, and now suddenly they have developed into something extremely serious. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Lingard and let's talk about the real possibility of whether or not he's going to come to Nottingham Forest. What's up guys and welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well, and don't forget tonight we have the watch along starting from 6:30 with kickoff at 8 p.m. on the channel. We'll be doing a live stream, so please make sure you come, you watch, you support the boys, and you let me know about your thoughts and feedback on the team and what you think of the game. That'll be from 6:30 tonight. The link's in the description below, so go notify yourself to get a nice little reminder for when we go live. With that said, let's get into the Jesse Lingard story. Before I talk about the ins and outs of Jesse Lingard in terms of what's happening with the transfer, I really am having a debate, and I've seen a debate across most Forest fans about whether or not he's the right guy for our club. I'd be interested in your guys' opinion. Would you rather see him over Morgan Gibbs-White, for example, coming to Forest? And it's really about the cost. A lot of Forest fans have suddenly become accountants and figured out how much we can spend, how much we can afford, and what we can't afford. I just need to remind everyone that first and foremost, we're the fans. We don't need to worry about the cost. We don't need to worry about how much his wages would be and things like that. What we need to do is obviously give our opinions, let each other know what we think about players and signings and things like that. But most importantly, we have to support the boys. Yes, we can critique them. I have done plenty of that in the past. But right now, we're in a position where we're really pushing to put together a good team. And I think the real question is, do we see Jesse Lingard as strengthening the team, or does he weaken the team? And I think there's a debate to be had on that. I think for me, I'm not worried about his wages. At the end of the day, he's a free transfer. So if I just quickly cover this off, he's a free transfer. His demands apparently are 180k, and West Ham can't. And ideally, West Ham wanted him, but they're not going to pay him that much. Now, Forest obviously have a ceiling on their wage structure, and the reports that have come out and that I've seen are that they're prepared to break that for Jesse Lingard to bring him in. You could say there is some logic behind it. Being a free transfer, obviously there'll be a signing on fee for him, which will be a good few million. But in terms of the wages, if he's to be paid, let's just call it 150k. If you add that up over, say, a 3 or a 4 year contract, you're looking at a total spend on this player of about 30 to 35 million. Now, the debate for me isn't whether or not we should pay that for him, but should we be paying that money for someone like Morgan Gibbs-White? I'm not sure that I would prefer Jesse over Morgan Gibbs-White. My personal feeling, and I've said it all transfer window, is Morgan Gibbs-White gives us a different element: pace, power, finishing, versatility in positions. You could argue he's a younger version of Jesse Lingard. But what I will say is I will never second guess Cooper, and in Cooper we trust, and in Cooper I trust. If Cooper feels that Jesse Lingard is a better option than, say, a Morgan Gibbs-White, then I am happy to go with Coops and let him, kind of drive the car for me along this journey we're about to have in the Premier League. My biggest concern with Lingard is more along what he will do off the pitch. As I've mentioned in previous videos, it is imperative and it's clear that the way Forest are putting a team together isn't just about how they perform on the pitch, but also the dynamics they bring off the pitch. So we know there's good cohesion in the background. We've seen it throughout the season as the boys rose from bottom of the league to promotion. So we know that Coops is looking at that element of it and how it works for the team. So does Jesse Lingard fit that ethos for us? That for me is the big question. Now I want to cast your guys' minds back to last season. About mid to the end of it, Man United were in disaster, which was funny to watch. But I want to talk about the report where Jesse Lingard was leaking to Paul Scholes about the unrest in the dressing room. So Paul Scholes reveals that Jesse Lingard told him Man United's dressing room is a disaster. Ralph Rangnick denies midfielder's claim, yada yada yada. I'm not really interested in the ins and outs of what happened. I don't really care if Man U go under or what have you, or if there's unrest. My point here is that Lingard is clearly one of these guys that can cause divisiveness and unrest in a dressing room, and he's not prepared to then go out and kind of share his opinions with the wider press, etc. So that's the kind of thing that puts me off Jesse Lingard, is these kind of comments where he's kind of going outside of the dressing room. In every football dressing room, there's always going to be an argument. There's always going to be a bit of an issue. But it doesn't need to leak out to the press or to, ex-footballers or things like that. I like the cohesion we got in the team. I'm a little worried about this kind of thing happening. If Forrest get off to a slow start, does he then start to leak out to his old chums at Man U, and things like that. So for me, this is a slight worry. But if Coops thinks it's not, then I'm okay with it. I know I'm contradicting myself, but like I said, with Cooper, he will do his due diligence. Dave Murphy will as well, the rest of the recruitment team. So if they think there's a deal to be done here, who am I to argue with them? That was really interesting and really made me smile today, and kind of shows you where we've come as a club in just less than a year. Less than a year. This, at the start of last season, if we take ourselves back to October, bottom of the league, 7 games played, 1 point, no wins on the board. Who would have thought would be seeing reports such as this? West Ham embarrassed by Forest, Spurs shift focus, and basically, West Ham can't compete with Forest's financial might. It literally says it here. West Ham cannot compete with the financial might of Nottingham Forest, and they're not sure whether Jesse wanted to join them anyway. I just love that report. It's so true. We are a bigger club than West Ham. We're a bigger club than every club in the Premier League. After all, we've won the European Cup twice, back to back. You show me one of those other teams that have done that. But that's not what we're here to talk about. But you can see there's a kind of feeling with this Lingard thing. Is he going to be coming for his wage demands or for the actual project? I don't think it matters if he's coming in for his wage demands. At the end of the day, we're all human. If someone comes in and offers me more money to go to a different job, for example, or they're willing to pay my demands on a wage, I'd probably take it. Once we get him through the door, if that is the case, then I think he will buy into the project because he has no choice but to. When he was at Man United, the atmosphere there was toxic. It kind of spreads like a cancer. Whereas he's going to be coming into a Forest club where there's cohesion, where there's good camaraderie, where everything is working well together. He is going to have to either embrace it, or if he wants to resist it, he's going to find himself outcast. It's not like it's a cancer that can spread. So it's going to be one of those things where, and I think this is how Coops is looking at it, that if this is his kind of personality, he's going to walk in and he's going to almost be kind of filled with it. He's got to have no choice but to become part of it, because that's the environment that Cooper creates within there. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. My kind of, if you want my full opinion on it, I still think that Morgan Gibbs-White is the better player for us, but I'm just a Forest fan. But right now, where we are with Jesse Lingard, we are the front runners on signing him. What does make sense to me about this is that it's a case of it's money that we wouldn't have to spend up front apart from the signing on fee. Whereas if we got Morgan Gibbs-White, there's probably going to be like a 20-25 million up front and then add-ons. With this, we'd be spreading the cost out over 3 to 4 seasons. Now, Jesse Lingard being 29 years old, do I still expect him to be in his prime in 2 to 3 years? No. Are we going to then get stuck with a player who's on, say, 150k a week, 33 years old, and unable to offload him? He's checked out. He's going to be on the beach kind of thing, just cashing in his check. We kind of saw that scenario happening with him in the last season at Man United, along with a lot of other players. If you look at their scenario, they've got so many players. If you look at Phil Jones, if you look at Jesse Lingard, if you look at Bailly, loads of these players are on high wages and no other club can come in for them because they can't afford to pay those wages out, and the player isn't interested in taking a pay cut. So my real worry here is if we do go ahead with this deal, short term it would work, but long term, what are the implications on it if we do take Jesse Lingard and then suddenly we find ourselves with a 33-year-old on 150k, lost his pace, lost his finishing, whatever it might be, but not that interested in performing? I think that's a question that does need to be looked at and answered. Will we care in 3 years' time if that is the scenario and we're still in the Premier League, having won the title and then obviously gone into the Champions League? I doubt it, but just food for thought. I'd be interested in your guys' opinions on it. So that's where we are with Jesse Lingard. I think if we want him, from the reports I've seen, he's asked to be taken. So let's see how this develops. It's probably going to develop over the next 2 to 3 days. I think by the weekend, we will know one way or the other for sure of him. Watch out for today for Tuffalo and O'Brien. It should be all signed, sealed, delivered as well. And don't forget, tonight we have the watch along at 6:30 on the channel. Come and join us. We'll be talking about Jesse Lingard amongst plenty of others as well. So get your questions into me in the chat there. And we will see you tonight. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll catch you later on at 6:30 on the watch along. See you then. Come on, you Reds.